Alright, so what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, and for today we're going to be talking about 3 of the most expensive characters you can currently build in Marvel Future Fight. Null, Sentry, and Mephisto are 3 and only 3 at this moment in time tier 3 native. And now if you're new to the game and you're wondering what makes these guys so great, essentially, unlike most of the characters in the game that start off at tier 1, unfortunately I have no tier 1 characters left, whale mode problems, but unlike most of the characters in the game that start off at tier 1, then you tier 2 them to unlock their tier 2 passive, and then you tier 3 them to get their tier 3 skills. These characters are the only 3 characters in the game that just start off at tier 3, and all you really have to do is level them up to level 70 and get their gears up to 25. However, that is easier said than done because there are roadblocks along the way that makes these guys cost a lot of resources. So let's talk about it, man, because if you're building these guys up, you need to know some things about them before you build them so that you can make the most out of your resources. I will tell you this though, all 3 of these characters are worth building. They're not duds, none of them, okay? However, if I was a new player or a newer player, because a brand new player, there's no way you're going to be building any tier 3 native anytime soon. I think you're at least going to have to be like 6 months into playing the game until you have enough resources to build one of these guys up completely to gears 25. Yeah, that's gonna take you a while. Just to give you an example of such, let me show you what it's like just to get one of this guy's gears, if we can even get it to 25. Okay, let's just do that, just so you can see. We might get lucky here and it might make you feel like it's easier than I'm saying it is, but okay, we ran out. But you can see how much CCF we used, and that was like 500 Titan component packs just down the drain. Well, it's not a waste, it's an investment, right? Because he's one of the best characters in the game, arguably the best character in the game. But that should give you guys an example. That's a small taste. That is just one gear, okay? It takes a lot of CCF, a lot of gold, and a lot of other materials to build up these characters. So there's things you need to know about them, what they're great at, what they're not so great at before you build them, so that you can make a good decision on your first tier 3 native. Ultimately, I think it's great to have all of them because it's always good to have more options than you actually need, so you can just choose what you want. However, if you're not in that situation where you can basically just build whoever and then have fun with whoever whenever you feel like it, and you just have to move off of like basically necessity, then there's one character that you should definitely choose above the other 2. Okay, so let's talk about it. We'll talk about them in the order in which they came out. So first we'll talk about Sentry, because Sentry is the easiest one for you to get. Essentially all you have to do is just come here, click on this epic quest, and they'll give you Sentry at 1 star. Super easy. It's the easiest thing you could possibly do. Even as a new player, you will get access to Sentry. However, getting down here to where it says no turning back, it will be one of the hardest things you have to do in the game currently. Lot of challenges to complete, lot of resources you have to sacrifice, and trust me when I say, ultimately, it will pay off, but it's not going to be an easy road, I will tell you that. However, once completed, you will have one of the strongest characters in the game for all form of content. However, he will be the #1 PvP character as of me making this video. He currently is the reigning, defending, undisputed champion of PvP in Marvel Future Fight. However, PvP is only about 5% of Marvel Future Fight. 5% of Marvel Future Fight. I'm repeating that so you understand. He is the reigning, defending, undisputed champion of one section of the game, and it is only 5%. Okay, so if you want to build one of the most expensive characters in the game as your very first tier 3 native, knowing that he's only going to be the best character in the game for only 5% of the game, do that. It's not a wasted decision, I will tell you that. If you care about PvP, more specifically, if you care about just completely annihilating timeline battle, going undefeated even on autoplay for like hundreds of matches, Sentry is your guy. Listen to me. Sentry is an amazing character and he can get you lots of easy wins even on autoplay. And if you want to push and do some extra fights, he can get you some extra crystals every single week. However, just understand that Marvel Future Fight is a PvE game, and the majority of what you need and what you will spend the majority of your time doing is PvE content, because those portions of content is what's going to give you the resources, the materials, the TCP, the EOD, the CCF, and all the other materials that you need to rank up these characters. So just understand that when you're building Sentry, you're only building him for about 5% of the game. Well, maybe I'm over exaggerating, because here's the thing. Even though he's not number one for PvE, he's not number one for World Boss Ultimate, he's not number one for World Boss Legend, he still does really good there, like great even. I would say definitely top 15 for like World Boss Ultimate, right? Just because his tier 3 skill has 80% defense down, and you can scale that up even further with somebody like White Fox or Dr. Voodoo, right? And he's gonna slap. He does really good, especially if you have some Pierce on your cards. I noticed that he becomes infinitely better when you get some Pierce on your cards, but honestly, PvP is still where he shines brightest, but he does have some amazing things in his kit, like he can revive with 80% of his max HP. He has a massive attack buff on his 4th skill, 50% all attack and all defense, and on his tier 3 he also has another 50. It's just absolutely insane. Then he has damage accumulation on his 2nd skill and iframe ignore. Like overall, he's a very powerful character that can complete pretty much all the content in the game. However, there are other characters that are much cheaper than Sentry that can out DPS him. They can deal more damage in way faster amount of time in World Boss Ultimate and World Boss Legend, but he can do it, right? I'm just letting you know my god honest truth from playing with Sentry and having him built well. I played him in PvE. I didn't really like him too much, because I found that although he was great, I had other characters that were way cheaper than him that were outworking him, outpacing him, doing more damage in this time, right? So I was like, why would I have a monster of a PvP character doing half-assed damage in PvE content when I can just make him the best he could possibly be and throw him into PvP? It's only 5% of the game, but still, he's number one for that, so why not, right? And then I can take advantage of him for Alliance Conquest. And I know some of you guys don't want to hear about Conquest, but here's the god honest truth. Alliance Conquest actually has some decent rewards. All you need is 30 wins and you get a shot at some CTP, some Odin's Blessings, and some premium cards. And worst comes to worst, you get some Black Antimatter, some Chaos Normstones, and you know what I'm saying? Like overall, I get a lot of value out of having him build for PvP versus keeping him as a PvE character. That's honestly my truth, okay? I still think he's amazing though for GBR against Galactus. I think like 20 seconds, 25 seconds, I've seen people clear as quickly as 15 seconds with brilliant energy on this guy. So he's actually a monster. You can do really well with him in DRX as well, and he's pretty good. I would say one of the best characters for dispatch mission, because once he hits his tier 3, the defense down is just gonna skyrocket to the moon, and he's gonna help you a lot, especially on sector 9 here. Though the human clear, I think he's one of the best for it. And then the Dark Avengers tag, he's one of the strongest characters that have that tag. So having him and having him build for PvE, he will help you there, I will tell you that, okay? But I think he's primarily a PvP character. Moving on, let's talk about Null. Null came second. For Null, you got to get Null by getting to World Boss Legend, beating him, and getting his biometrics there, similar to how you get the rest of the Blackwater. That's how you get Null. Alright, so here's the thing about Null. In my time playing with the character, I've had a lot of fun, And I've actually gone to the lengths of like getting all his gears to 25 and giving him a bunch of Odin's blessings. And I think if you don't have a lot of Pierce on your cards, I think if you have less than, I would say, 10% Pierce on your cards, Null is going to help you a lot. Simply because natively, this man actually has 5% Pierce. You can see right there, he increases chain hit damage by 20%, and then he gives himself an additional 5% Pierce. So if you have no Pierce on your cards, this guy's gonna help you so much. He's gonna be one of your best characters. But once you get some Pierce, I feel like a lot of characters surpass him, and it comes down to the fact that he's pretty difficult to play with a CTP of energy, which is a bummer, because getting the chain hit from his tier 2 passive here to go along with the chain hit on a CTP of energy, that's 50% more chain hit damage. That's gonna help him quite a bit. However, because his rotation is so wonky, myself and most people use him with a rage, and until they reforge this thing to make it, I guess, be able to keep up with the CTP of energy once it's reforged, unfortunately Null is gonna be somewhere in the middle between like being better than Sentry for PvE just because he has the additional Pierce and Sentry does not, whereas for PvP he's going to be worse than Sentry, even though he has one of the coolest mechanics in the game, which makes it so that once his HP drops below 5%, he's basically going to fix his HP at 1, and he cannot die for 6 seconds, and then he recovers back to 75%. He's one of the best characters for Alliance Conquest. If you stack him with enough damage reduction and enough HP, he's damn near impossible to get rid of. I know most people don't care about Alliance Conquest, but Null is an absolute monster for that. For regular timeline, I don't find him to be that effective, even with a regen, I'm just saying. But for AC, he is A1. He's just absolutely amazing. But I use mine primarily for PvE, just because he's really good there. I still think this guy could be better, so I'm waiting to see what they do with Rage when he can be reforged. I think that might make his value skyrocket, but for now he kind of feels like a jack of all trades but a master of none, where he's better, a little bit better than Sentry in my opinion for War Boss Legend and stuff, but worse than Sentry for PvP. And then Mephisto, honestly, is the guy, bro. Mephisto is the GOAT. In my opinion right now, Mephisto is the best character in the game, point blank period. His damage is absolutely through the roof, even though I don't have his gears all at 25 yet. And compared to the other two who I have, you can see I have, I believe, like 8 or 9 Odin's blessings on this man right here, and then I have a bunch of other Odin's blessings on my Sentry. I don't have him built as well as I have them built. By the way, all of them have a CTP of some kind, okay? His damage is absolutely insane. So, remember what I said at the start of the video. Marvel Future Fight is primarily a PvE game, right? 95% of the things you are going to do in this game is PvE related. This man right here is the god of PvE content. His AoE, his burst damage is just abso-freaking-lutely through the roof. He has no additional Pierce, but he just hits like a truck. I'm telling you, like, he's absolutely amazing. In my opinion, he's the #1 character for Dispatch, and I feel like a lot of people sleep on Dispatch, but you get so many rewards in here. It's absolutely amazing. If you farm it and then you just set it up so basically every 12 hours or so you can come back and collect your rewards over the course of like a couple months, you get so much materials for free, and this guy's just gonna carry you through Dispatch. On top of that, he's the top dog for ABX on a couple different days, right? He's amazing for War Boss Legend. Like, he blows Sentry and Null out the water. He's also really good for PvP because he can revive at 90% of his max HP. He has 2 different forms, one that was designed for PvP and another that was designed for PvE, so you can build him however you want. It's absolutely amazing, right? Because he has also defense down and 70% ignore dodge. He's really good for Dispatch. Really good for Dispatch. If there's one character that I would recommend from this thing, these 3 right here, bro, if you listen to nothing else, if you are a new player and you are getting to the point where you want to start working on your very first tier 3 native, I would suggest you choose Mephisto at this point in time. Until we get another tier 3 native that shows me something even more fantastic than what I'm seeing with Mephisto. He is the guy. He should be the very first one you build. He's gonna carry you through all of the PvE content in the game, and he's absolutely going to destroy it. After that, it's completely up to you who you want to build, right? I would say go with Sentry second, because if you have the #1 de facto #1 PvE character in the game, why not get the #1 PvP character in the game? Which means Null is just kind of out here being like a sad boy, right? Jack of all trades, a master of none. He can do PvP, he can do PvE, but at the end of the day, he's better. He's the best for PvE, and he is the best for PvP. So why do you need him? The only reason to have him is if you have no peers on your cards and you just want to be able to clear some content that you are struggling with. This guy will help you because he has additional pierce in his base kit, whereas the other two do not. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. All of these characters are fantastic in their own way. However, from my time playing with them all and having them built, I personally have just found Mephisto to be the most useful one. He can farm every piece of content quite effectively in some of the fastest times. He can do PvP, and Sentry. Although Sentry's not the best for PvE, he's definitely the best for PvP. So the only one that's kind of not living up to that god tier status right now is Null, and maybe that will change when reforging CTPs get around to reforging the Rage. But here's the thing, my other two characters, they're performing adequately. They're performing above average. Like, they're performing on the tier that they're belonging to, which is the god tier, without reforging their CTP. So if he needs to get a reforged CTP to basically stand out or rise above these guys when they don't need a reforged CTP, that should also tell you something, because you already have to invest so much into these three characters. Having to go even further for him, just for him to possibly be better than these two, it should tell you all you need to know. All right, I'm not hating on Null. I've got a lot of love for him. He carried me through a bunch of stuff when he first came in, but it seems like he's the first one to fall. So invest wisely, my friends. Also for DRX, I will give Null some credit though. Over Sentry for DRX on Strife week, he's really good for skipping phases and getting you closer to winning than Sentry for DRX. He's also really good for DRX. He can skip phases as well. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's okay. You probably don't play Danger Room, which means that's another thing you're not gonna use it for anyways. All right, so we'll catch you guys in the next one. Be safe. Peace out.